Entity relationship model. An entity relationship model describes interrelated things of interest in a specific domain of knowledge. A basic ER model is composed of entity types, which classify the things of interest and specifies relationships that can exist between entities. In software engineering, an ER model is commonly formed to represent things a business needs to remember in order to perform business processes. Consequently, the ER model becomes an abstract data model that defines the data or information structure which can be implemented in a database, typically a relational model. Entity relationship modeling was developed for database and design by Peter Chen and published in a 1976 paper, with variants of the idea existing previously. Some ER models show super and subtype entities connected by generalization, specialization, relationships, and an ER model can be used also in specification of domain-specific ontologies. An ER model is usually the result of the systematic analysis to define and describe what is important to processes in an area of business. It does not define the business processes. It only presents a business data schema in graphical form. It is usually drawn in a graphical form as boxes that are connected by lines which express the associations and dependencies between entities. An ER model can also be expressed in a verbal form. One building may be divided into zero or more apartments, but one apartment can only be located in one building. Entities may be characterized not only the relationships but also additional properties, which include identifiers called primary keys, diagrams created to represent attributes as well as entities, and relationships may be called entity attribute relationship diagrams rather than the entity relationship models. An ER model is typically implemented as a database. In a simple relational database implementation, each row of a table represents one instance of an entity type, and each field in a table represents an attribute type. In a relational database, a relationship between entities is implemented by storing the primary key of one entity as a pointer or foreign key in the table of another entity. There is a tradition for ER or data models to be built at two or three levels of abstraction. Note that the conceptual, logical, physical hierarchy below is used in other kind of specification. Conceptual data model. This is the highest level ER model in that it contains the least granular detail but establishes the overall scope of what is to be included within the